Hey everyone, this is Amber Key, and you're listening to a Bright Idea podcast, a show where I sit down with entrepreneurs to discuss the aha moments that launched their businesses. In today's episode, we're joined by Cassandra Whitlow, a highly accomplished recruiter, career coach, and author. A graduate from Fayetteville State University, Cassandra began her career at IBM in information technology, later transitioning to human resources and recruiting, where she found her true passion. Her extensive experience spans across Fortune 500 companies in diverse industries like telecommunications, banking, transportation, and insurance. Driven by a desire to help individuals unlock their full potential, Cassandra's expertise in talent acquisition and recruitment strategies has been instrumental in guiding organizations to attract top talent. Today, we dive into Cassandra's insights on career development, mentorship, and the evolving landscape of recruitment. Join us as we uncover the strategies and principles that have made Cassandra Whitlow a trusted advisor in the world of professional growth. Let's get into the episode. Run me through your background a little bit. I know that you started your career in IBM. How did you get into that role and what were you doing in that role?
Gosh, that seemed like so many moons ago, but I graduated college. I'm from Miami, Florida, so I went to school in at Fayetteville State, and yeah, I landed a job here with through AmeriCorps. I don't know if any of your viewers know about AmeriCorps. It's like a domestic Peace Corps,
Mm.
and I did that for 2 terms. And then I guess my first real job was at IBM. So that's kind of my journey of how I got into IBM through networking, something that I always teach my clients about. And yeah, so just through networking when I was there, was happy to have my first job. But after about 3.5 years later, I was like, I'm not a techie at heart. My major in college was business administration and economics, and I was just like, I'm a people person. So I did a career assessment, and that's where it sure, lo and behold, it said HR, human resources would be my number one pick, and
Mm.
I just chose recruiting because it's just a natural fit for me.
It's
Love
so
helping.
Yeah, it's so funny when we go to college and we are deciding on what majors we want to go into, how we have this idea of what we think our career is going to be when we
Mhm.
graduate and what our trajectory is going to be. And you said that when you went to college, you were a business administration. As a 21, 22-year-old coming out of school, what career did you think you were going to have?
Well, I thought I wanted to own my own daycare because I love children. I love, youth, but I just love children. And I was like, oh, I would love to be a daycare teacher. And I'm not just teacher, but a director.
Yeah.
And that's actually the first thing I did with AmeriCorps. My first year was being, was a daycare, I guess, teacher, if you will, like co-teacher. And after doing that for that year, I was like, yeah, no, that's not what I want to do because, just all of the nuances behind that whole industry, it was just more than I could have ever known. So I was glad I did that to know exactly what I don't want to do. So yeah, I just went to school. I knew that business would translate to all industries, and
Yeah.
that's why I chose it because I was like, there's a business management side to everything. So yeah.
Hmm. And so in your first job with IBM, it's a tech role, as you had mentioned, and you were like, this is not for me. How did you know that it wasn't for you? And kind of like walk me through that corporate America experience coming out of school.
So what so I would definitely say that it was just, I won't say a job because, sometimes you're just like, okay, I networked my way into it, not really having a passion for IT. And I know a lot of people have a passion for IT who get into it. So that's why it's kind of weird that she didn't even have a passion and she got in there. Same thing with HR. But when I was there, I was kind of, just basically working with people's machines, working with their laptops and it was kind of the early stages of computers, if you will. And so a lot of people were just, I was just working with machines, and I
Mm.
was like, I am not a machine type of person. I wanted to talk to humans. I want to be human to human, and so I just knew after about 2 years, I knew this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life for sure. But I gave it another year to try to change my mind, and it never did it. Instead, it intensified. And I was like, no, this is not what I'm meant to do. And I need to do something different. And that's when I did the Myers-Briggs assessment. And, it just, yeah, it confirmed I was not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I find that to be so interesting because I started off my career in sales. I was in advertising sales. So I sold like TV ads, digital ads, and I was always good at sales because I knew I loved to talk to people, but just the industry and how much it's changing, I found it to be just not something that I really was interested in. And I remember knowing very early on that I was like, this is not for me. And I knew the path that I wanted to take, which was like the marketing content side. But I was like frustrated because I didn't know how I was going to get there. So when you made that transition or sort of that jump into HR,
Mhm.
or actually, you know what, taking it a step back, knowing that it wasn't for you before you took the Myers-Briggs test, which we'll get into for us in a second, because I've done this. Those things are so fun. I've done them as well. Um, were you talking to anybody? Did you have any mentors? And like, how'd you make that transition?
Um, Back then, it was just a mentorship wasn't a big thing. I know it happened, and I did talk to other people, but it was more so kind of a lonely journey, if you will. There's not a whole lot of coaching that goes on within, I guess, within corporations to help people kind of figure out what they want to do. It's just, here's your job, you do this job, get good at the job, and then you move on if you want to move on.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just something that I had to find within myself, and to figure out, to be honest.
So you transitioned into the HR part of the business.
Yeah. So my first job was as an IT recruiter.
Okay.
So I used my IT background and my
Okay, that was what I
people
was wondering. Like
and my
how,
and
yeah.
and my people, I guess, people person type personality, and the two mixed together perfectly. And my first role was as an IT recruiter. Um, and I found out quickly about the industry because that was on the staffing agency I was in.
Yeah.
And in the staffing world, it's just very different, because if sales go awry one particular quarter, your job goes awry as well. So
Hmm.
so that's what happened after about 6 months, but I stayed in the field and, have been in it for well over 15 years now.
Were you working for the same company when you were doing the recruiting?
Mm-mm. No, because I left IBM to
Okay.
go into a staffing agency.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so you knew tech wasn't where you wanted to be, but you
Mhm.
used the background and the skill set that you had in that field, coupled with your people skills
Yes.
to move into a role that was more fitting for you.
Yep.
I want to talk about Myers-Briggs for a second. I haven't taken that specific one, but I've taken the DISC analysis. I don't know if you're familiar with
I've
that.
heard of it, yes.
Yes. So I'm curious what your, I guess, results are.
Well, it was, to be honest, it was over 10 years ago, and
Okay.
I totally forgot. I know that's so bad. It's
That's
just so
okay.
bad, but it was spot on in that I am detail oriented, and I am, detail oriented and, communicative, love to communicate. So those are some of my top skills,
Okay.
that came from it, that I interact well with people, that type of thing, and that's the whole recruiting piece. So yeah.
Right. No, I love that. And for the listeners, you and I have done it before, and we're very familiar with these sort of personality
Mm.
or like professional development tests, if you will. But for like the people that are listening to this who have never heard of Myers-Briggs or the DISC analysis, can you give us like a definition in like layman's terms of what it is?
So it's in essence, it's a career assessment, and it's just to assess. Some of them assess your personality type to see what jobs will mesh best with your personality. Then you have others that's more skill based. and
Mm.
it's to say, okay, if these are your strong hard skills, then this type of job will be good for you. But it's just a career assessment. This is basically to see what would be the best career for you as as the taker. And yeah, so it's that's that cut and dry.
No,
It's
that was
to
perfect.
assess what type of career you would be best in.
Yes, it assesses what type of career you'd be best fit in. But what I found too in taking my test is like once you learn yourself and you learn other people's personalities and
Yes.
career mindsets as well, it kind of helps you work with and adapt to teams and organizations in that way. Did you
Yes,
agree with
yes,
that?
if a team I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes,
Oh,
if
go
a
ahead.
team I'm so excited because I have worked at a company where they had a team, or a group of people to actually do, an assessment. It was a personality assessment. So this one was not a career assessment, but it was personality assessment.
Mm.
And oh my, I can't remember what that test was, but I just remember it was spot on for everybody in the room. And they had the pros and the cons, and they had so like how to approach this type of person, how to approach that type of person. And I mean, we were just having aha moments all over the place. We're just like, wow, this is why you get ticked off whenever I say or do this, or
Yeah.
so we're just really, really just it was a great discussion. And so yeah, for you to say sometimes as a group, it just really helps you to know how to interact with others. So yeah.
I feel like these assessments have been around for so many years. And you being in this field, do you think that they are still applicable to today and like the current like market for job seekers and people that are looking to level up in their careers?
I would say yes. I would say yes. It's still applicable. It's still is relevant. Of course, there might be some tweaks here and there because the technology piece of any of these assessments might be, antiquated or old or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, it's really going to show you just how to, which field shows your strengths. So if you're great at helping people as far as like a scientific realm, it'll show, and then you say, okay, maybe I need the medical field,
Mm.
maybe a field you never thought of, and so yeah, it's just a whole vast array of information.
No, I love that.
Mhm.
So you had mentioned that you have now been in the human resources and recruiting now for around 15 years. Was that correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh what what would you say was the aha moment that led you to start your own career coaching?
Well, I have always helped people in this space. It seems like even before I became, an HR professional, it's just people. I guess I've always been business savvy, and that's why I took business administration in college,
Mhm.
and I've just always kind of been on the pulse of what is everything corporate, if you will. Everything corporate. Even my husband sometimes says, yeah, you can be very formal sometimes. I'm like, oh, man. But I have a very playful side too. So the aha moment was whenever, when people started coming to me just like regularly and they were just saying, hey, can you help me with my resume? Can you help me with mock interviewing and all of these types of things? And I was like, you know what? People come to me a lot,
Mm.
whether I'm at work or at play or wherever, they come to me a lot, and I need to, respect this skill that I have.
Mm.
It's not just a professional side, but it could be also a side, type of thing. And that's whenever, career coach Cassie.
Yeah.
So that's where it was born, and that, yeah, I want to help people. And so I get a lot of satisfaction because, of course, I'm working with a lot of candidates all the time, and I'm pouring into them all before they meet with the managers, and I'm giving them advice. And when they take the advice, and they're just like, okay, will you help me, outside of this? And I'm just like, absolutely, sure. But they're getting the jobs,
Mm.
I'm helping these young people with their first job, and the first interview, they're getting their jobs. And I'm just like, not only are they getting their jobs, but they're getting compliments from the hiring manager saying, wow, you seem pretty prepared for this interview.
Mm.
So that just makes me feel just alive whenever I hear them come back and say things like that, like, wow, that really worked because I got the job. Or, go come in skeptical. Younger people sometimes can just wonder, do I really need this? Let me just go in there and wing it. No, you don't want to wing it. Not if
Yeah.
you really want the job. So yeah.
And now, are you working with people from all different industries, or do you have a specialized industry that you focus on?
So currently I'm an IT I work in the IT space.
Okay.
So senior in very senior type of IT, folks. But my background, I've worked with students all the way to, senior executives.
Mm.
So when I was working in student space, and I helped the university recruiting department, if you will, even nowadays. So I'm working constantly with, colleges and virtual career fairs, in-person career fairs. So I'm still working with all different types. And as far as the industry, this company is a with AAA where I work. It's a multifaceted type of company. So yeah, banking, car care, insurance, you just have it all. So
Okay.
yes.
No, I love that. And IT and tech are just huge industries right now that everybody is working on getting into. And while it's awesome because there's so many opportunities, there's also so much competition out there.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what are what's your approach to talent acquisition, and like what are some like recruiting strategies that you have that are helping people to get these jobs?
So number one, be prepared. If you're not prepared, it's gonna show, and it's gonna show, and it's gonna turn off the managers. I would say know about the company and the role. Read the job description, know something about the company. Go on the website of the company and just kind of scour it and learn what's going on. If they've had any type of awards, if they've been in the news, those types of things, I would definitely say to um, ask intelligent questions.
Mm.
You want to make sure that you're engaged in asking questions, answering the questions concisely. Because sometimes people ramble when they're nervous, and they're just kind of like, oh, and then 2 hours later, you're just like, they're still talking. I still got 10 more
Mm,
questions. So,
mm.
just whenever a person knows how to make something succinct, that shows a lot of restraint and a lot of mental power to make it short and powerful.
Oh.
So that's what you want to really focus on, especially in some of these high level interviews. But I would say definitely preparation is number one, because it shows when a person sits in front of you and they're not prepared, and it's not pretty at all.
A lot of these, I guess most of these interviews now are via Zoom. And so it's virtual. And how you hit something, you hit the nail on the head just now when you were talking about going in and making sure that your answers are concise and they're quick and to the point, and how easy it is to get nervous and you're like rambling and you're trying to finish a point. I've definitely been in those types of situations. Do you think that even though we're in this virtual environment, like are recruiters and hiring managers able to really read the body language through the
Oh,
screen?
yes. Oh, yes. So, um, I mean, of course, eye contact is one of the things that's kind of slightly missing when you're on the video because, even right now, sometimes I don't know where to look. Should I look here, there,
Right.
and it could be kind of disturbing. But uh, being physically prepared as far as your dress, so they can tell if you're dressed up or not. They can tell if you're over accessorized. They can tell with your the way that you sound, just through, I guess, through Zoom or whatever the virtual way that the interview is going. They can hear your confidence. They can hear whether you're, talking really slow and quiet or this. Um, just everything needs to be on point, especially because all we see is this, just one little square. Um, you want to make sure that everything you present is just right. Your background matters. If you have some type of picture that's controversial or some slogan behind you that's kind of off-putting, all of those things are being seen in this interview. So you want to just make sure that you as a person, you dress the part, you're ready, you're confident when you answer the questions, you know what you're talking about, and it's going to come across. So yes, a video does still stand out today. Being that over 80% of the interviews are videos. So yes.
So are you running through sort of a mock interview with your clients that you're working with? Like, how all of these things that you just explained, how do you practice that with people so that when they get into the interview, they are calm and they can
Mhm.
answer the questions and really sell themselves to get the job?
So I find out what the job description is, what's the job we're looking at. I tailor some questions to those particular job titles. But the main thing is knowing how to answer that number one question, tell me about yourself. Because that one question it's loaded. So just remember it's loaded. And it's not a time to regurgitate your entire resume because that is a turnoff for any recruiter, for any manager. They want to hear about what is not on the resume. So when you answer that question, it's going to help them decipher if you're the type of person they want in their company.
Mm.
Period. Uh, does this person fit the culture? Will this person, get along with that person or this person on my team? Oh, they have a hiking background. 3 people on our team, are hikers or, lift weights or just whatever. So they want to hear, what made you passionate about the field? So if you went to college, why did you take these courses and just why are you interested or passionate about this field? And yeah, they want to hear about your hobbies, about your interests. If you have a side gig, they want to hear about it. And because those are the things you're passionate about, the things that you're doing and may or may not be getting paid for, not as much as your 9 to 5. So they know it's a passion type of thing. So yeah, these and of course I talk about the technical side of things. Okay, tell me about the customer service. What are your customer service skills? How can we highlight those skills? Let's talk about accomplishments. You want to make sure that you're on point for any type of behavioral questions that they ask. Tell me about a time when you did this or that. So you just want to be prepared, and that's what the mock interview will do. Just really help you get prepared for
I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
You did.
That is so interesting because the first thing they ask you in an interview is tell me about yourself. And I was today years old when I was told just now that they want to hear what's not on the resume.
Yes. Yes. And one interviewer was brilliant enough to ask this person who's actually an HR professional, and she was taken aback by the question because they said, so they put her resume down and they sit back in their chair and they were like, um, tell me something about you that's not on this sheet of paper. And she was like, excuse me. And they said, tell me something about yourself that's not on this resume. And they sat back and waited. And she said she was literally stomped. And I was like, you know what that means. That means tell me something about yourself that's, you know, that they don't know because they know everything, technically, they know your jobs, where you've worked, your skills. So, but she was stumped and she's literally in the HR profession. So it's
Hmm.
like, how much more is it a struggle for other people to know? So yes, please know that is a thing.
Wow.
You
Let's face it, starting a business is hard work, and building a website for a business, that's another story. Why not hire some help? 35th Street Builders are not just website builders, they're dreamers. With experience spanning in startups to enterprises, 35th Street Builders will provide you with the mobile app and web development skills to get your business up and running. At 35th Street Builders, they pride themselves on affordability, reliability, and compassion. Ready to take some work off your plate? You can schedule an intro call with 35th Street Builders by going to their website at 3sb.io. That's the number 3, the letter S, the letter B.io.
Mhm.
Okay, so what if, you work with people that are right out of college looking for their first jobs. And so I think that it's easy for them to be like, "Oh, I like to hike on the weekends," or like, they may have some other things that they can speak toward, but um somebody that's a little more seasoned in their careers, like, and they get the question, "Tell me about yourself." Do you recommend that they tell them what's not on the resume, or do you immediately go and speak about a relevant project that you've been working on that is lends itself to this position that you're interviewing for? I'm just like, I mean, I'm kind of mind blown, and I'm asking for a friend, aka myself, like,
Yes.
you know.
Well, what this is what I usually say, um, because this is the age-old argument with recruiters. I mean, you get if you ask 5 people, you probably get 3 to 4 different answers. So
Okay.
this is debatable. Please know this.
Okay.
But the managers that I've encountered, and myself included, we have a certain way that we'd like people to answer. But to your point, if you have more than 10, let's say more than 5 to 10 years of experience, you would start out that answering that question, keeping it concise. You would start out answering that question of how you got into the field, what made you passionate about it. And then you're going to maybe 2 or 3 accomplishments that you've done, and give some accomplishments, and then taper it off with some of your hobbies and things that you like to do, outside of work, like writing or and that's just writing or reading or working out or just whatever.
Mhm.
So you would end with that. And that shows a well-rounded, okay, I like this person. Because you want the manager or the recruiter to like you as a person, and they're not going to even know you as a person if you don't tell them. You know,
Mhm.
so if you regurgitate, let's say your resume, then they're going to talk about your resume again for the next hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. What do you find are some of the most common challenges that you're seeing in individuals in today's job market?
I would say the Generation Z or Gen Z, I would say that they don't know what they don't know. And because of that, they're showing up to interviews not properly dressed. That's what I find, in t-shirts, hoodies, socks with sandals, and just, shorts and just all these types of things when the opposite is supposed to be taking place. Um, I would say a lot of times lack of communication is one huge one that a lot of managers are, struggling with because they're just saying, you know, this person isn't communicating well, and so those would be some of the top two. The list could go on and on, but I want to keep it positive. But I would definitely say that some of the challenges are more on the soft skill side, than even the technical side.
What do you mean by not communicating well?
Um, I would say n- not finishing sentences or kind of being choppy in their response because they're shy or they're nervous or afraid.
Mm.
Um, and maybe using some slang because
Mm. Mhm.
just or today's lingo, if you will, and that just doesn't fly all the time with in the professional world. So yeah, I would say those would be some of the things. Um, I guess as an employee, you can go into the email, abbreviating words in email or text if you have a business text,
Mhm.
doing those types of things. So yeah, business is a totally a different, beast, if you will.
Yeah. And I could imagine, to your point, they don't know what they don't know is because a lot of these students coming out of school, we're in the pandemic during
Mhm.
college. Everyone went virtual. They
Mhm.
may not know like the normal like office behavior that we are all used to, or some of the older millennials or older generations.
Mhm.
But once you're working with these, let's say, fresh out of college recent graduates, and they get the job, how are you helping, or are you coaching them in how to maintain the job and also to climb the ladder? And are you
Yes.
finding that they're staying in these jobs, or are they leaving? Like, what's the vibe? Let me know.
So what's happening nowadays? It's a lot of job hopping, yes, because they get kind of discontent after 1 to 2 years. But just to touch a little bit on what you said previously, yes, the pandemic had a huge, huge effect on the development of the Generation Z or Gen Z because they were in middle school whenever that took place. And that middle school, elementary and in middle school, really are the two areas where you learn a lot of your social skills and togetherness and all those types of things, and instead they were told, don't get close to people, only hang with your family. We're going to shut down school. It's just all these things. This is like, I mean, that's this really, really scary time. And then yes, I think it stunted a lot of that. um, Yes, whenever I get my client, I walk them through how to not just get the job, but keep the job,
Yeah.
because soft skills is what's going to help you keep your job. Having great soft skills, that being communication, um, a hard worker, uh, detail oriented, and just all those things that, hard, well, I already said that, but a work ethic,
Mm.
having a great work ethic, because that's what a lot of companies are finding, that the work ethic is what's lacking. Um, you know, I don't know why. Uh, I mean, I have my speculations, but you know, and I have written a book about about how to not just get a job but keep it. Career head start, plan ahead to get ahead.
Mm.
It is a workplace readiness book for young professionals, and it walks you through the ABCs, literally the ABCs of job retention, of how to keep your job. So um, yeah, I'm very passionate about that because I want people to not job hop. I want them to stay, as long as they want to stay. If they want to be there for 2 years, I want them to be there for 2 years and not get terminated. So, but it's a process. It's a step.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned job hopping, and that's very common among the younger generations that are fresh into their careers. And on one end, it is maybe they get tired of the job; it's not serving them, it's not work life balance. But on the other end, I think that the younger generations are being told that job hopping is what you're supposed to do in order to make more money. How do you agree with that? One, and two, how do you, knowing that these um employees of a younger generation are going into these jobs thinking off rip, I'm going to stay here 2 years and then move up in my careers. How do you, or in their career, how do you help them really do a good job while they're in there for those 2 years?
So to answer that first question, no, I do not believe in job hopping. And I don't care what age you are, whether you're 14 with your first job or 60 in your last job. Of
Mm.
course, everyone isn't, they're not going to stay there for 10 years plus. But I would say to stay somewhere long enough to get roots, you want to, because in every new job, you're going to have to prove yourself over and over and over again. And that doesn't go well all the time in every environment. So if you're here for 2 years or 2 to 3 years, you've gotten a reputation, they know your work ethic, the pay will come. The pay will come. And I have seen people go and say, "Oh, they give me 10 more thousand over there." Well, when they jump over there, a lot of times they're prove me mode again, for the
Mm.
first 90 days or even the first 6 months sometimes. And they may not make it because they're just like, it's a different environment, it's a different type of people. They lose the job, termination of some sort, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. But then now what? Okay, so now you're looking at any job. I don't care if it's 10,000 more or less, I need a job, So I like to say stay somewhere long enough to learn the culture, learn the job, do a great job there, hone your skills, because if you increase your skills, eventually you will have the pay increase right there at your same job. You can go internally, you can apply internally to other departments or to other to other roles within the company to pump up your pay, if you will, but yes, if a person does leave to go to a different job, I would just say be very cautious, because the environment, I mean, the culture is what's going to make or break you in any new company.
Mm.
And a lot of people just kind of take that loosely until it happens, and they're just like, "Oh, that culture stunk, and now I'm back in the job market because I wanted $6 more thousand.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Probably not. When you could be staying here for the third year and the fourth year, getting that reputation built even more, and then going from there. So that's my take. But yeah,
I love that that is your take, because it's very different from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing from some of my peers is like you do job hop every 2 to 3 years in order to, level up in your career, make more money, try new roles. I do agree with you in terms of like developing a reputation and and being able to move into different departments and forming those roots. We see a lot of turnover and layoffs and managers that have been given manager jobs that weren't ready to be managers and all of these, toxic
yeah,
environments. I hear you when you say that people should stay and form roots in a company, but if you're not getting what you need from the job that you're in, how do you stay in a job and develop as an employee when all of these things are happening within the building and within the
yes.
company?
Well, I never advise one to stay in a toxic environment. You've been harassed in any way, or you've been, just mistreated, or any of those things, definitely take that to HR, because they're going to be the ones to help you kind of mitigate through that storm, if you will.
Mm.
Um, and and yes, I would say by all means, in that case, you might want to consider looking externally for work if things don't get resolved there within the company. Retaliation is real. So, sometimes whenever things are revealed, there can be that point of retaliation. I'm not one of those HR people who kind of pretend that these things don't happen, because I know they do.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be laws against it because
Mhm.
it never happens. So I would just say, you know, this is it's a difficult time whenever those things happen. So that's why you want to be very, very methodical about the steps that you take, because it's your livelihood. And, if you're a person who has bills and you have responsibilities and all those things, you're going to have to consider heavily what you're about to do. And if you're going to leave the company, you want to be very, very, very sure that that's something that you want to do. So yeah, but if you're just working for fun, hey, go to the next job. No, I'm just kidding. But
Mm.
no, it's just easier to leave whenever you're just kind of working for fun.
I like that you touched on that, and back to your point about not knowing what you don't know. I think that isn't just a generational thing, but it could be all for everybody that is in the workforce now. I mean, things have changed so much. Things are constantly changing, rules, the way that people run the companies, all of the things. Um, I I talk to my parents a lot who are both my dad is retired, my mom's on her way into retirement, and both of them talk about how they had mentors. My dad actually had a mentor for 30 years who helped him get his first job, and um having those relationships and forming those, kind of cultivating those relationships with people that can help you get to the next step. I feel like that's not very common anymore in the workplace, partly maybe because of all of the job hopping. But how does one go about getting a mentor in the workplace? And does it have to be someone that you work with?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I totally believe in mentorship. Uh, even the Bible, I don't know what your faith is, but in the Bible it says, to seek much advice to make the victory sure.
Hmm.
And that's so true. That's basically what a mentor is, to help make victory sure for you. Um, One great way nowadays, companies are starting to see the value of mentoring or having some type of mentorship program. So if your company has a program, I would definitely go on the intranet, and that's the internal website for your, intranet for your company. Go on the intranet and type in mentorship just to see if they have any type of program.
Hmm.
If they don't, then you might want to look at your industry. Let's say you're in human resources. For human resources, SHRM is our largest organization for human resources, and that's Society of Human Resources Management. If you're in the banking, there is an association out there, for banking. Go to the organization, become a member. Once you become a member, a lot of times they have mentorship programs, kind of formal mentorship programs. You can do a Google search, mentorship programs, and put your zip code. And sometimes they'll have free or low paying type of mentorship programs that you can partake in. So I would definitely, you know, try to find a mentor, especially if you're less than 5 years in your role or in the career space period.
Hmm.
Um, I would say to do that. If you're older in your career, still, we all need a mentor. We never stop learning. Be a life learner, but there's always something new to learn. So, so yeah, I would definitely say to seek out mentorship, no matter where you are in your career and how many years you've worked.
Um, what should you be looking for in a mentor, and how often should you be communicating with that person?
What to look for in a mentor? You want to look for someone who you highly respect in that particular field. You want to look at someone who has something to offer, I guess, as far as their accolades or their accomplishments, and just things that you really admire or things that you want for yourself.
Hmm.
So I would look at that. It does not have to be someone in your company. It could be someone, outside of your company. It could be even a neighbor. It could be anyone that you really look up to and can learn from their life or their career life. Um, so yeah, I would definitely say to you know, that's how I would work that.
I want to move ahead just a little bit and talk about like what some trends or changes that you foresee in the recruiting or career coaching landscape. And do you think that how do you think professionals can be best prepared for those changes?
So AI has changed things a lot.
Sure.
AI has really come in and just it's shaken the HR world, if you will. Some fearful, some not. I'm excited about it because I'm just like, this is going to make my job easier and better, and and all of those things. So I would say to kind of leverage technology.
Hmm.
If you leverage technology, add it to your world. If you're a job seeker, use it for your resume. Use AI, ChatGPT, all those things, use it towards your benefit. There's a lot of stuff on there that can even, you can type in there for, you know, career pathing, what should be your next step? And they'll come up, to come up with a whole list of different things that you should do. This is my current job title. What's my next step in my career? What should be my next step in the career? Things like that. So voila, it'll give you so much to think about that you have never thought about before. Um, and and yeah, so this will help you in this particular landscape of your life as a professional to even deepen your development as a professional in whatever field you're in. So yeah, I would definitely say leverage technology to your advantage.
If you could you get a little more specific on how AI is affecting recruiting specifically, like on your
Um,
end?
So AI is like for job descriptions. I would say job
Okay.
descriptions is helping us with how to best write out job descriptions. It's also helping with like with the ATS, but that's the applicant tracking system, with finding resumes, kind of
Mm.
filtering out the types of resumes that we're not wanting. Um, just with Boolean searches and different things like that, is really helping out with to help target that right type of candidate. Indeed, we just had a whole session on Indeed, using it to help with writing letters to candidates, or candidates if they want to eloquate their, if that's such a word, it sounds good. If they want to elevate their writing to a manager or to a recruiter,
Mm.
so kind of leveraging those things, you know, on your behalf on both parts, as the job seeker and the employer.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
So, you guys are using it for to feed filter resumes, also with descriptions. And so, for example, if I'm trying to get a job that has a very specific description, I can use AI tools to tailor my resume to with keywords or like with how does that work for someone who's like novice in this area?
I know. So I would definitely say to all of the content, of course, should be yours.
Yes.
If you're
That
my client. So
yeah.
with that, you can put the wording in there to not to edit it, but in so many words to kind of make it more powerful language. You
Okay.
know, give it more powerful adjectives or descriptions, that type of thing, and then it revamps it, it elevates it, basically. That's what I want to say. It elevates it.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I think it's a great tool, to help in that space. But yeah, you just put your resume in, and you can say, you know, um, edit it, or more powerful language, or just something, and then it will definitely, give you what you need.
What are these tools that you're referring to? I know there's ChatGPT, but is there a platform specific that we can put our resumes into?
Bard is good. Bard, Bard.
Okay.
And I know there's many more, but those are the top two that I have used for just in various occasions.
Yeah, I think that this is a great first step because you also think about, as you help with your clients, you're helping them with like the interview process and, how to sell yourself once you get the
Yes.
interview. But how do you even get the interview? Because,
Hmm.
sometimes you're sending your resumes out to all of these companies and they're sitting in a pile of 1,500. But what you're saying is using these tools, leveraging technology to help you get ahead from the rest of this competition. I think
Yes.
that that's so powerful. And I'm so happy that you shared that with us.
Yes.
I want to talk about specifically your coaching, your business. What are the tools that people can, or I'm sorry, the services that you provide for people?
So the services I provide, one-on-one coaching, group coaching. I thoroughly love group coaching because you kind of leverage on each other. But group coaching, um, workshop facilitations. Um, I've been a panelist. I've been you know, a speaker. I have something coming up in the next couple weeks, and next month. So yeah, it's just, these are the things that I love doing. Anything that's career, anything that's career development, that type of thing. Those are my
Yeah.
services.
And so you're virtual, or I know that you said that you do some in-person things as well.
Yes, more so virtual, but I do have some in-person clients that I work with.
Okay.
But since the pandemic, it's been a lot less, way more virtual.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
how can people find you?
You can go to my website, CassandraWhitlow.com, CassandraWhitlow.com. I also have a new TikTok. Cassie Career Coach is, I guess, the handle for that, as well as my Instagram. I was going to say IG,
Yeah.
but Cassie Career Coach.
Yes, thank you. And to
Mhm.
leave you on this note, I know that we talked a little bit about the challenges and what some generations are facing versus other in the workplace. But what are you hopeful for in the workforce and the people that you're working with and helping them to get the jobs that they want?
So, what I'm hopeful for is I'm hopeful that this new generation is going to rise up to be what they need to be in the workforce. That they're going to come with confidence, with knowledge, with um, just with some powerful tools to really help advance the workforce. So I'm just very hopeful about that. And just something that I would like to see more of, if you will, is just more acceptance of each other, of each generation, Generation Z being tolerant with the boomers, as they say, of baby boomers, and baby boomers being more tolerant with millennials as well as Gen Z and
Mm,
Gen X just mixing in with everybody. So just
right.
really have that acceptance and that this healthy respect across the lines, because we're all in this life trying to make something of ourselves, and we just need to build each other up. um, I just find that that's really really lacking these days, is no one wants to help build other people up, and it's
Mm,
just kind of tear down and in it for me, and how can I do this. It's just enough. We
right.
just need to really step back and say, you know what, how can I build someone else up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that we can all learn from one another. And I think that that's when businesses really thrive is when there's
Yes.
people from all backgrounds and all thought processes and we work together.
Oh
So I
yeah.
appreciate you for saying that.
For sure, yes. Eloquently said.
Yes. This has been so great. I appreciate you coming onto the show. And I think that people, I mean, I was mind blown. I learned a lot of things today. So I'm
Good.
so excited for my listeners to walk away with some great knowledge and hopefully reach out to you to help them get their new job.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I want to play a fun game with you. It's rapid fire. So if you're ready, I could just jump right in.
Yes, please.
So, what is your go-to advice for someone feeling stuck in a job?
My go-to advice for someone feeling stuck in a job is to develop yourself. Get upgrade your skills. So you want to learn during this time. You want to take classes, courses, develop yourself, and that will help get you unstuck, because then you can present yourself in for projects, for different projects. You can possibly even move on to another role. So yeah, just add some more skills under your belt.
Mm. How important is networking in today's job market? You touched on this a little bit in the interview, but like, what tips do you have for effective networking?
So it's sometimes it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mm,
And what you can do is be me- very, very strategic about where you spend your time. So I would say to volunteer, be strategic about where you volunteer. If you're someone who loves doing career coaching, go for career types of organizations. If you're someone who's with the hospital, volunteer in the hospitals. But just be very, very strategic about where you volunteer, where you give your time, but do those things because that's where you're going to network, because that's where you're going to be able to network and really get in people's spaces who need your help. And next thing you know, just say, well, I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking for my next job, and then you're right there and they can just hire you on.
No, that's so I love that you said that because no one thinks about volunteering as a way to really get in the door. And a lot of times, we live in a society where everyone needs money. So no one wants to really do anything for free now. But honestly, when you're making those connections
Mhm.
and volunteering, it
Yes,
shows the work ethic, first of all, because you're
yes,
there doing something for nothing. And then also you might end up meeting your future manager, your future colleague.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, because those people are volunteering their time. They believe in giving back and charitable work, and it says a lot about someone who is doing that type of thing. So you're in that space already of what they deem as a good faith effort, to life. So yeah, it's a great tool and a great
N-
thing to do.
No, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. How can someone effectively leverage social media platforms like LinkedIn to advance to for their career advancement?
So I would say put your accomplishments out there. You want to put any type of publications out there, and that's something that I need to do more of because I'm of the generation that did not kind of display everything about themselves. So it's
Yeah.
very foreign to me.
Mm.
So I'm preaching to the choir, but kind of put yourself out there with up to the minute types of things that's going on in your life because once you display it, then that's how people can know. And when they're in the know, now they can, oh, she's doing such and such. We need someone over here like that. So, and that's just how it all goes. So,
Mm.
so whatever social media handles you have, I would say keep them up to date and yeah, just shout it out.
Um, and then my last one is what are the key elements of a standout resume that catches a recruiter's attention?
Accomplishments. I would
Okay.
say accomplishments. Yeah, if you have a set of accomplishments, it shows that you go above and beyond. It also shows that you're a hard worker because you have accomplishments. If this is your first job and you really don't have anything to display, I would say any type of extracurricular, activities. So any clubs that you join, any organizations that you're a part of, just anything that's extra, because everybody does the status quo. Everybody does the minimum requirement, of get me that grade and get me out of here. It's like, well, when you go above and beyond, like this one high school student that I've been working with. I mean, she started an HBCU club at her majority Caucasian school. And I'm
Mm.
just like, oh my gosh, you're bringing. She's like, yes, I'm so passionate about it, and she said, no matter which college I can go to, Princeton, even anywhere, she said, I want to go to an HBCU, and I'm passionate about it. So
Yeah.
so I'm just like, wow. So yes, she's definitely standing out in a lot of ways, but just show how you're going to stand out. And when you have accomplishments, it shows that you are a stand out type of person,
I
and
love
that
that.
person gets hired.
Thank you so much. This was amazing, and thank you for coming on the show today.
But thanks for having me so much, Amber.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cassandra. That's it for this week's episode of A Bright Idea podcast. Today's guest was career coach, author, and recruiter Cassandra Whitlow. If you would like to support her business, you can contact her by going to her website at www.cassandrawhitlow.com. If you liked this episode, please let me know in the comments or like and subscribe on YouTube. Until next week, I'm Amber Key.